So before we look at adding a client, I just want to show you a few things about this main screen. Right now, I can see down here at the bottom that this is record 29 of 33. That means in this particular solution, I have 33 clients and I'm on record 29. If I tap this arrow, it will take me to the previous record. And so I can go back and forth through the previous records. I can go forward, and you'll notice if I hover over either of these, it'll show you that control down or control up takes you forward and back in the found set. So that's just a quick note about the found sets. All right, let's add a client. Adding a client is right there. So we can simply tap the button or hit Command or Control if you're on the PC, N. I do that, and then I'm ready to add a new client. So I could put in Harry and continue to enter his information. All right, so we've entered all of the basic information for Harry. We've tabbed through all the fields, and we've got his name and address and his email and everything. Now let's look at adding him to a group. Maybe he was referred by Ron, so I just tap on the little group icon there, and then I could tap R, and that takes me right to referred by Ron, and if I hit enter, I'm good to go. Maybe I want to know that he's also a body worker, so I could scroll down here and just use the mouse and tap body worker. And then I'm done. If I'm finished entering those, then I simply tap into something else. Now, if you ever lose these drop downs, so let's say I accidentally double click and it seems like, oh, where'd that drop down go? On a computer, I just hit escape and that'll bring the menu back up. On the iPad, I would just tap into another field and then tap back there, and that little drop down menu will come right back up. All right, let's say that you've accidentally added him to a group you didn't want to add him to. You just made a mistake there, and Ron is in fact not deceased. So to delete that, you'll double click and then delete 22. Now you notice when you click out of that, now you have a blank line. In all honesty, this probably won't give you much trouble, but essentially we now have an empty record. It says, Harry Henderson is part of blank group. So you can clean that up simply by tapping this little icon down here, and you'll see that in a couple of places. So you see a script flash, and it cleans up those records for you. Now let's say that we want to add Ron's evaluation form. Well, if I have that on my computer, I can just simply drag that right in to that first document. And notice that when I did that, this little arrow appeared. If I were on an iPad, all I would have to do is tap this little area and I could view that. On a computer, I'll use this little arrow, I'll tap that, and then I'll have quick look. And when I do that, it automatically opens it up and we can see, the evaluation form. I'll close that back down again. Now, remember that everything that you store in this is secure. So essentially it's kind of like shredded and only you hold the puzzle key. So if I want to get something back out of it, say I want to export it to send an email to somebody, then I would hit this export button. And when I did that, it would let me say, save this to the desktop. And then I could, you see it there now, I could do an email with that or do whatever I wanted to with that particular file. So again, on the iPad, you can simply tap this and view it. On either the computer or iPad, you'll want to hit export to export it. Now I could add a picture here, and if I had one, I could just simply drag one in. I could drag in, this picture of somebody, but it's their spine and not their face, and that's not exactly what we want in this case. The simplest thing to do is actually to take a picture with the iPad. So I'll show you how to do that. All right, so here I am on the iPad, and if I simply tap the white space where the picture goes, you can see I can insert files from the iPad, and I can also take a picture. So I could just go to camera, but then we encounter this error. And what this shows us is that this field is active both on the computer and on the iPad. So on the computer, I would need to tab out of this field, so that field is not active. So you can work simultaneously and seamlessly, but you can't both be modifying the exact same field like his first name or his picture at the same time. So I just go back to the computer, I tab out of that. So now that that field is free, I tap the camera icon. Let's say this is Harry. I can take a picture of him and I just hit take picture, and that will save directly into the solution. So I'll have it there, and when we go back to the desktop, you'll see it on the desktop as well. A couple of notes about the iPad view though. In general, you want to use the custom icons that are built in. For example, on the top right, you'll notice that there's a search icon. If I tap that search icon, it will give me this quick find and this whole submenu, which I really don't need, and it's a little more complex. If I tap just the one that I built for you, it takes you right into search and I can search any of these particular fields. Generally speaking, whenever you do something in the solution, just use the custom buttons that I built for you, and that'll tend to work best. All right, so here we are back at the computer, and you see that Harry's profile picture has been saved directly into the solution. All right, so now let's look at adding insurance. So the first couple of tabs here are the things that I think you'll use most often. There's the basic client information, then the note summary, what happened last time, then all services. All right, so here we have insurance. We can just choose from the insurance companies we've set up in the system. Let's say that he uses Acme, and then we can enter the issuer number and all that kind of stuff. So we do that. Now the copay field is just a note for us. So it just helps us remember if we've called their insurance company, they told us, we'd say, oh yes, it's $15. We might want to make additional coverage notes. Sometimes it's like, 25 visits per year covered. I could also then store a copy of the insurance card right here. Again, I could take a picture of it with the iPad, or if I have it scanned in, I can just drag that in as well. Once again, we have the little well. So on the iPad, I would simply tap the white space and view the card. Here, I could do quick look again. Or I could do an export to get it back out of the system. Also, if there's a form for their insurance company that you'd like to store in here, you can just put that in as well. And then let's say that Harry is actually not the policy owner. So if he's not the policy holder, then we could enter in maybe his wife, Hilda Henderson, and it's the spouse. And so that way, when we do our insurance billing, all the correct information is there. All the appropriate numbers will come up every time we run that report. Now there's also a tab for files. So you've got two files that you can store on the basic client information, and typically here, this would be an evaluation form and the initial paperwork, whatever forms you have. If you need more than that, then there's a couple of spots here that you can use. Not everyone uses Social Security number, so I wanted to have it there if you did need it, but also not be part of the main screen that everybody walks by and could potentially pick up somebody else's Social Security number. A couple of other things here, there's help. So in here you'll find all the shortcuts. So for example, entering a new service is Command 2 or Control 2 if you're on a PC. And that's something you'll probably use quite often. Command 1 or Control 1 is what opens another client window. So rather than mousing around everywhere, I can use the shortcut. So I hit Command 1, and then I can find all of my next clients. So maybe I'm looking for Christine, and then maybe after that, Christine is coming in. And it's a very quick, easy way for me to have a bunch of clients open for whoever's coming in for that morning or afternoon. And we'll do a little bit more with finds in a couple videos, but these show the operators that you can use, equal to, greater than or equal to, etc. The video tutorials button will actually open your web browser and take you probably to the place you're watching this video right now, where you see all the video tutorials and the frequently asked questions. So if you choose to email me and you have a question about your solution, something seems funny with it, use this email address right here and tap it in the solution, because what that'll do as I tap that is not only address an email to me, but it will attach your solution. That way I can see exactly what you're looking at if you happen to be running into any issues. Many people want to have all of their client paperwork within the solution, and I think that's great, and in fact that's what I do myself. However, there are a couple of questions that come up with that. Should I have my clients fill out forms on the iPad so they can all be in the iPad? And lots of things that come up like that. What I found is it is very practical to hand people paper and a pen or a pencil to fill out their form, and then to scan it in. That way it doesn't tie up any technology, and you can change your form without changing the underlying technology and all that kind of stuff. So people tend to fill out a paper form, and then the assistant simply scans it in and adds it to the solution. Now you can actually even scan this in and do this all on your iPad so that you don't even need to get a scanner or be attached to a computer or anything. There are lots of good apps. What I use is Scanner Pro, and I'll show you how that works. I simply tap the icon, I hit new, it automatically then recognizes the edges of the pages, it scans that. I put it down, flip the page, it scans the second page, and then I'm finished. It automatically uploads to Dropbox for me, and then I go back to the computer if that's how I'm accessing it, and I pull it in from Dropbox into the solution. And it's pretty quick. If I were doing all of this on the iPad, it would look the same. I'd open up Scanner Pro, and I'd do the scanning, it would upload to Dropbox, and then I would tap on the space just like we did to take a picture, and I choose Insert File. And then I would navigate to the Dropbox file, and I could put that into the system. So that takes us through the basics of adding clients, files, and paperwork, and a little bit about the interface.